Oh, yeah, you know what time it is. It is time for the Dallas Cowboys Daily Update. And here we go. It is great that we actually know the full schedule right now, that we know who we're playing, when we're playing, and where we're playing. Did I get them all? And I just can't wait to get the season going on. Tomorrow is a huge day because all of our rookies. Oh, I hope I got the balance right that you can actually hear me over the music. I actually toned it down some, and I may need to tweak it a little more, but this is broke ass media, and we broke ass, and so it takes some time to get this together. But this was originally our draft music, but this is too good to let go. This might need to be our theme music because if that draft was everything that we think that it should be, we may want to hold on to this. We may want to hold on to it. We're just going to have to rename it. Shout out to Ron Oliver from Tower Light Records. So let me go ahead and deep six the music. So now that we've gotten free agency out of the way, now that we've gotten the draft out of the way, now that we know the schedule, the real work begins because starting tomorrow, all of the rookies will report to the star for OTAs. Now, the CDC actually came out today with some extra guidelines, and I'm interested to see how this will affect the rest of the offseason. You do know that the NFLPA suggested that the team's players boycott OTAs and off-season workouts because they said it's not safe. Well, here's the thing. The CDC is saying if you are fully vaccinated, you've had both of your shots, you don't need to wear a mask anymore. That it's safe, that if you get the vaccine, you could possibly still get COVID, but dying from it, so far they're saying nobody died from it. Of course, at least that's what I hear, okay? I'm sure some of you have heard different things, and I'm not going to try and litigate all of that. I'm just pointing out what they are telling us, and the numbers seem to be retreating as well. So this will definitely help our Dallas Cowboys. I think one of the major issues for the Cowboys was we didn't have OTAs, we didn't have really an off season, and we had a shortened training camp with no preseasons. Bringing in a whole new coaching staff, along with a lot of different players, and trying to change the defense, it just was not enough time to get all this done. And of course, the injuries mounted up and destroyed us. Enter the Washington football team. The Washington football team that all of a sudden you would think that they are the 85 Bears. They are the division winners of the NFC East, and I will give that to them. At 7-9, they did a great job. Um, the interesting thing that I started talking about this probably about 4 or 5 years ago is that nobody has won the NFC East back to back. And it's actually kind of startling when you actually look at the numbers. What's crazy is nobody has won the division and won more games the following year. Nobody. In fact, only two of those teams actually kept at least the same amount of victories the following year. More times than not, they lost games, as many as 8 games more the following season. On average, even with those 2 years that there were no more losses, the division winner drops 4.1 games. That's significant. That's kind of, and I'm not saying that Washington will be the rule. They might be the exception to the rule. But there's a multitude of reasons why a team gets up there and then has other problems. They get a tougher schedule. People start looking at what you're doing. You've got a target on your back. A lot of your players want to get paid or go on elsewhere. You lose free agents. And so it's hard to repeat year after year after year. The other thing is you also, generally speaking, if you didn't win the division the year before, you have an easier schedule. So I want to revisit this, but first I want to actually play this clip from NFL, ESPN on NFL Prime. It's interesting to take. One of the takes that you have to worry about is after seeing Post Malone and Jerry Jones last night are the Cowboys more sizzle than actually substance? Are the Cowboys falling into that whole hype machine that sells jerseys, that makes them the number one franchise as far as value in any sports across the board? Are they more of a hype machine than actually focusing in on football? And that's where you see that Post Malone and Jerry Jones video last night, and you have to wonder that. Oh, and shout out to Dak Prescott, who is now the fourth highest paid player, athlete, including higher than LeBron James in the world. Let's go to the tape.
Toasty, Marcus, I don't know. This was so unexpected for me. I just don't even know where to begin, so I'm going to let you take it away. Toasty!
Well, El Boogie, the problem is, right, everybody always asking, why is Dallas America's team? Because of stuff like this. The stars show up for the Dallas Cowboys. This is an example of that. Post Malone, obviously becoming a legendary musician, a hip-hop artist / whatever. He's very versatile in his music selection. Hooking up with Jerry Jones. Jerry understanding how to sell season tickets, how to make everybody invested. He's tapping into the younger generation. And Lou and everybody else be mad because Dallas is America's team. But this is what we do, baby. This is what we do in the D-Town. We bring the stars.
They're making it rain. What are we gonna do with them?
Hey, well, you know what? That's all great. I mean, that's great. If that's really what you want to do, you just want to kind of bring in stars and sell tickets. But hey,
great point.
At some point in time, you got to win football games, right? That's what you got to do. You got to win some football games at some point in time here.
All right, listen, Adam, we're getting back to business. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. All right, Jerry Jones and company have some bouncing back to do, to Lou's point, from a 6-10 campaign last season. But some good news for Cowboys fans. Based on opponent win percentage in 2020, the Cowboys have the NFL's second easiest schedule after the Eagles. The NFC East is always so competitive. The division hasn't had a repeat champ since 2004 Eagles. That 16-season stretch without one, the longest for any division since the 1970 merger. Let's start here on the Cowboys. Adam, we know Cowboys fans are hoping that Dak will be ready for that Week 1 game against Tampa, but where is he in his rehab?
Well, Laura, we still have 4 months till the start of the season, so there's no need to rush things along. But the signs at this time are that he's on track, that he's making progress, he's coming along, and that's encouraging for the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to need him back for that Thursday night, September 9th, regular season opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We all remember the broken ankle from last October. He had the surgery. He's been rehabbing, had another surgery to help further correct the issue. But again, right now, it looks like he's tracking to be ready for the opener.
Lewis, let's talk NFC East as a whole. I kind of have a feeling that you're going to go a direction that's not the same one as Marcus here. Who do you have winning the NFC East?
Yeah, let's talk about the NFC East. You know, like all that Post Malone and all that stuff that Marcus says makes them America's team and makes them the place with D-Town. Isn't that what you call it, a D-Town, right? All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about the NFC East. You know, at the very top of the NFC East, we're going to talk about the WFT, the Washington football team. I think they're going to win this division. And I'll tell you why. Because they have done the best job of roster construction, believe it or not. And if Ryan Fitzpatrick is someone who can actually go ahead and elevate his play to the point where maybe they win a game or two because of him instead of having to win in spite of him, this team's going to run away with the division. They've got strength on the offensive line. They added playmakers on the perimeter. They drafted Diami Brown out of North Carolina. They already have Terry McLaurin. They add Curtis Samuel. And then on the defensive side, Marcus, defensive line play. They can rush the passer. So they already got that. They draft Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. They've got it going on there. And secondly, I'll tell you this. The team that's going to make the biggest jump in this division, that's going to catch some people off guard, is the New York Giants. Because I think that Dave Gettleman has done as good a job this year as far as improving this football team as he's done since he has been there. They have weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Daniel Jones has no excuses as far as throwing the football. They addressed the defense in the draft. And, hey, after that, then it's the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be third. Philadelphia's going to bring up the rear. That's the way it's going to go. But you know what? You won the offseason, Marcus. You had to need a schedule reveal.
It's because I'm on the show. It's because I'm on the show. It's absolutely because I'm on the show, El Boogie. He put the Cowboys third because Lou knew we were doing this show together, and he knew what type of reaction he was going to get from me. And damn it, Lou, you got it. You got exactly what you asked for. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about you mentioning Ryan Fitzpatrick and Daniel Jones.
Here we go.
80% healthy Dak Prescott is 10 times better than both of those guys. We know defensively, Lou. We know schematically. Dallas last year had no idea what they were doing. The defense had no clue. Just by them knowing the scheme, they're going to be better than they were last year. I believe, listen, I think Micah Parsons is a difference maker. I really do. If you look at the game today and you think, I keep him in the same vein of the Devin White, the Darius Leonard, where you can get creative. I'm going to get the football. I'm not going to let Lou get my blood pressure up and get all emotional. I agree with you.
Too late for that.
When you look at Washington football team from a defensive standpoint, it's clear that's the best unit. But Lou, the best unit in the NFC East offensively is the Dallas Cowboys. And every time we have this conversation, people forget that Zeke Elliott is still the running back there. I do not expect Zeke to have a bad season again. I do not expect this offensive line to be completely decimated. And I expect a 4-3 hybrid 3-4 scheme from Dan Quinn to remind us of the good players on Dallas defense. Also, we're adding some of that talent. Lou, you want to fight? I'm ready to fight, but I got to get to some football, man. I just don't see it how everybody else is seeing it.
Well, let me ask you this. In the trenches, Washington, in the trenches, both defensively and offensively, who has the edge, Washington or Dallas? Which team? Who do you
Washington has the edge defensively, for sure. Defensively, Washington football team front seven is probably the best in the league.
How about in the trenches offensively? Who do you give the edge to there? Washington or Dallas?
Lou, I'm not giving the edge to the Washington football team offensive line coming into this season. No way.
Okay. Well, I will tell you this. Look, I love Dak Prescott. You know that. And we know that they have tremendous perimeter weaponry. But I'll tell you, they drafted 6 players initially in the draft, the first 6 picks for a reason on the defensive side of the ball. You can't assume that all of those guys are going to make a tangible difference right out of the gate. And defense and running the football wins championships. We know that. We have seen that. Washington can do that right now. We'll see what happens with the Giants. I just think they're going to be much improved. Philly's bringing up the rear. I'm not even worried about them right now. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens here.
Really fast. Adam, you want to get in the fray here at all? Got anything?
Listen, I like what Dan Quinn brings to Dallas. And Dallas's defense was so bad last year. You get the defense better. You get Dak back healthy. And I would say last year we were talking about Dallas as a viable contender. Why wouldn't the Cowboys be that this season?
I would say that every year.
Hey,
all right, so that's where we are with that. Now here's where I'm going to get the haters out here and Washington fans. You know, you guys are manning up right now, and you're coming at me. But I'm a homer. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I am literally Charlie Brown that is letting Lucy hold the damn football for me. And I'm believing that she's going to hold it this time so I can kick that field goal. I get that. But I've got to say, when you say, when he's already said, if Ryan Fitzpatrick can step, wait, Ryan Fitzpatrick? Are you kidding me? That's your big improvement? Alex Smith actually played pretty decent on a lot of those games. In fact, if you look at the history of Ryan Fitzpatrick, he usually gives you about 4 really good games, and all of a sudden we hear Fitzmagic, and then all of a sudden Fitzmagic does the disappearing act. Poof, he's gone, and he's benched for somebody else. The younger guy comes in, and then he's just moving right on up, moving on to the next go-round. We're talking about a guy who's been in the NFL for 17 years. You can't get a leopard to change its spots. Ryan Fitzpatrick is what Ryan Fitzpatrick is. And unfortunately, he's going to a team that quarterbacks' careers go to die. Kirk Cousins was fortunate enough to do like the movie Get Out, and he got out before his career died. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you're drafted. It doesn't matter what credentials you have. When you go to Washington, you die as far as your career goes. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you think about teams that win the division the next year because they didn't the year before, it's usually because they had a softer schedule, kind of like our Cowboys. Hey, I'm not mad that we got the second easiest schedule in the NFL. I'll take it. I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass how we win. Just win, baby. But here's the thing. This vaulted Washington defense that everybody is touting that is literally lights out. Do your paperwork. Do your numbers. Don't just, rely on, they won against this team. No. Let's look at the teams that they beat. Of all the teams, now remember, they were 7-9 to win the division. 7-9. The only teams that they faced with winning records, the Cleveland Browns, they lost to 34-20. The Ravens, they lost to 31-17. The Steelers, they did beat them. Steelers were on that downward slide. They won 23-17, and they lost to the Seahawks 15-20. So of the teams, of the 4 games that they played last year against winning teams, they only won one of them. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go through the first 9 games of the season for that defense of theirs, okay? They played the Eagles. They beat the Eagles 27-17. Congratulations. You played the Cards. You gave up 30 points to the Cards. Their average points on the season was 25.6. They gave up 4.4 points more that game than their regular season average. How about the Cleveland Browns, who scored 34 points? Their season average was 26.9. They gave up more points there. The Ravens, they gave up 31 to the Ravens. That's 27.3 is their regular season average. The Rams, they gave up 30 to the Rams, 23.3 points. Even the Giants, this amazes me. They gave up 20 and 23 points to the Giants. You're saying, well, that's pretty good. The Giants averaged on the season only 17.5 points a game. On the whole season, they gave up 2.5 more points to the Giants, and, by the way, lost to the Giants twice. The Lions, they gave up 30 to the Lions, which averaged 23.6 points a game. Of course, our Cowboys, we were without Dak Prescott. One of the games we had Ben DiNucci. They did great against us, but then again, we were ass. Now, going down the stretch, they did play really, really well, but here's the thing. They beat the Bengals 20-9. It's one of those wins that got them in the playoffs. The Bengals didn't have their rookie starting quarterback. The Bengals were one of the worst teams in the league. The Steelers we talked about, which were going downhill. The 49ers, they won 23-15. The 49ers were on their third or fourth string quarterback. They lost to the Seahawks. The Panthers, they lost to them 20-13. And, of course, the Eagles with their backup quarterback. So I'm not ready to go all in and say that Washington now all of a sudden that was 7-9 in a division that's never had a team win more games, that all of a sudden they're going to be a 10 or 12 win team. Not with the schedule that they have, because now they've got to play the big boys. Now, you can call me a hater if you like, or I'm full of crap or whatever. That's fine. That's cool. But I'm giving you at least the numbers and statistics to at least give you why I believe something will happen. It's not going to be just a gut feeling or because they won last year, they're going to win next year. Come on. Let's be real here. Dak Prescott alone, that improvement for the Dallas Cowboys coming back, a guy who is, I believe, 17-5 in the NFC East throughout his career, that alone makes this team a better team. Seeing La'el Collins in great shape right now, slimming down some and looking like he can move, knowing that Tyron Smith is coming back, knowing that some of those young offensive linemen that we have now at least have that rookie year under their back. And I dare say that our defense, and I'm going to tell you later, this video is getting kind of long, if I'm Dan Quinn, when I've seen this schedule, how I am attacking the season. If that defense is just a little better. A little better. Not a whole lot. It doesn't have to be the 85 Bears. If we just get a little D, we're going to be okay. And with that being said, you know what time it is.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.